Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Bram. I post videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays all about luxury fashion, lifestyle, shopping, travel, all those things. So if those are things that are interesting to you, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and become a member of my growing YouTube family. Okay, so as you can see, the sun is looking a little crazy today. I wanted to actually film this earlier in the day, but it was so gray and disgusting. And if you've been here before, maybe you heard me say previously that I do not have a ring light and I like to use the natural light because usually I think it's the most flattering. However, right now, maybe not so much. But what time is it? I don't even know what time it is. Okay, we have like literally, I'm going to make this very short because I think we have about 15 minutes of daylight left. And yeah, so that's why I didn't even get dressed. I saw the light was disappearing. I was like cleaning and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, now's my shot if I want to film something today. So here we go. Two things today. First thing is maybe I'll do it at the end. I have a little unboxing, just a little one. And that it's something that I think is really cool though. And I wanted to talk today about it bags and if we think that they still exist. So I'll start with that. First of all, I am going to throw my Instagram handle up here. So if you are not following me over there, come follow me. I am attempting to post more and be more active over there. So yeah, so come follow me over there. Next thing is, I guess that's it. I guess there is no next thing. Okay, let's get into it. So it bags. I wanted to talk a little bit about, I was just thinking about this and I saw maybe I saw like one or two videos kind of like dancing around this topic a little bit. Not so much about if they still exist, but more about like where the it bags of like yesteryear have gone and like what do we think about them now type of thing. So I wanted to talk about, like, at the end I'll follow up with like a bunch of to me the most iconic it bags that I can think of just off of the top of my head. But I wanted to talk about why I personally, and I'd like to know what you guys think, if you think it bags still exist in the same way that they did, 20 years ago or whatever. I don't think so. I think that the hype around certain bags, like it's almost like it's a little bit artificial. Okay. So I have my list here of points that I want to hit because my memory sucks. So, and I like ADD, I will be talking in 20 different directions if I don't try to keep myself focused. Okay. So first thing is first, I think that the reason that it bags, I think, don't exist on the level that they used to is probably because of the gifting to influencers. Now, I'm sure that there was gifting happening back in the early 2000s, like in the really like the day of the, like those were like the years of the it bag, in my opinion, from like 2000 to like maybe 2010 max. That was like the time when there were very clear it bags. You knew what they were. I think honestly, like pre-Instagram was really when they like were at their peak. You know what I mean? I really believe that the gifting and the, I guess, attempt at creating it bags is so, what's the word? It's very like staged now, right? So for example, we see these giant pushes on Instagram. Guys, I can't get a minute, guys. The dog is messing with the cat. Anyway, okay. So we see these like huge pushes towards what the brands want to be the it bag. So it's not really like organic anymore. For example, the multi-pochette, what was it? The multi-pochette bag? Was that what it was called? I liked it personally. It had to grow on me, and maybe that was like the plan, but it was the pochette accessoire, right? With all like the little bags on it. I'll throw a picture, obviously, but we saw like this huge Instagram push on that one. It was almost like all the influencers had gotten their packages the same day and unboxed it all in one shot. That was like a big push to, I think, create buzz around a bag that maybe no one would like if it wasn't created. Because I know the first time that I saw it, when my essay actually showed me a picture, and I was like, that's stupid. That's like really stupid looking. Next, maybe the Kassan bag, right? I think that was another one that a lot of influencers were gifted, and it was just like this mad like push through Instagram and like just the pictures everywhere of this bag. And obviously Louis Vuitton wanted to push it because it is leather, right? And so obviously they were trying to focus more on their leather pieces than their canvas and whatever. So that being said, back in the day when I felt like I think that we all kind of had this sense that when celebrities and models, because those were the influencers of that time period, would wear these bags out and be photographed in them, it was true and like organic. And, for example, you would see maybe Jessica Simpson got the Murakami Speedy as a, present from Louis Vuitton. Who knows, right? But we didn't know that. We didn't know about gifting to celebrities back then. And so it seemed like it was completely truthful. She loved this bag. And because we saw this bag so many times pictured on her arm or whatever, it was like everybody else loved the bag too. And so it was an it bag. I mean, I think everybody would have loved that bag anyway, but you get my point here, right? Is that back then we just didn't think of it in the same way, right? We would see celebs wearing their bags and we assumed that they purchased it, they loved it, and because they were cool, these bags became it bags to the rest of the population, basically to the rest of us. So I think that's one major thing, is that everything feels like it is faked now. It's totally created, right? The next one, I think that is a reason why we don't see it bags in the same way, is because of all these like micro trends. While I think that micro trends have their place, like sometimes it's fun to have this like one burst of a trend. It doesn't need to last for years, but sort of like this mob wife aesthetic or just whatever. Sometimes it's cute where it's like, okay, now we've had enough, like no more leopard, I'm done with it, or whatever, and so we move on, or like most of us move on. However, I think that the fact that these micro trends exist to the level that they do now becomes sort of a problem in talking about $3,000-$4,000 bags, right? So people get nervous, I think, to invest so much in a trendier piece, not knowing if this piece is really going to have like staying power or not. So it makes it harder to like, again, on a trendier piece. Obviously, the classics, it's a different story. But for example, honestly, even like with the Murakami, I know this is like a reissue of the initial collections, but I feel more comfortable with my vintage pieces because I'm not going to spend that amount on something that might look played out really soon. We saw that the first time around. I think we all forget, but we saw that where the multicolor collection was just like it was pounded into the floor. It was like used till it couldn't be used anymore, and people were so sick of seeing it around like the early 2010s that's why I believe that they discontinued it. That was I think a huge reason. It was just like everywhere, faked everywhere, whatever. So for me, I will say that I do have a little bit of FOMO. However, I chose not to put my money into that collection because I can get a better deal on the secondhand market. I have some pieces already, and I don't know, are we going to go, I think for me, I like vintage now more so than I previously did, because it wasn't so vintage back then. But are we going to go that route where in a year from now we're going to be like multicolor? Like, no, thank you. I don't know. I don't know. So I think that people probably have that same thought, maybe not about the multicolor collection, but about other pieces that are a little bit on the trendier side, like the multi-pochette was, or where they can really look very dated in a short amount of time, because our fashion cycles are so quick at this point. I think that's another reason why it's kind of diluted that whole it bag idea. Also previously in the early 2000s, in that decade there, you would see things for years and years. So I'm sure that there were micro trends to a certain degree, but the spy bag was cool. That was the it bag for years. The multicolor line was the it bag for years. So there were these, when something became an it bag, it might have been at its peak for like a year or two, maybe, but it wasn't played out in this, you know, short period of time. It was definitely something that you could wear for multiple years and get your use out of and still feel like you had an it bag for quite a while, you know? So I think that's a big one. The third one kind of goes into that whole thing, like with the pricing, is just that the rising costs of these items really make it very hard to jump on trends the same way. So I think it makes it hard for us to say, okay, like, well, for me, I'll say that I'm a little bit different in the sense that I have never really liked the classics, but I'm just talking about what I see and what I think about, just kind of like what everybody else is doing and thinking, like the majority of people. I think that not purchasing classics, it really, people really need to think about it at this point. You know, I think that, you know, 10, 15 years ago, for me, I always kind of leaned towards purchasing things that were a little more fun. I was like, well, if I'm going to spend my money on it, I don't want it to be boring. I'd like it to be fun. So I kind of avoided classics. I was a little bit backwards. But I think that the rising costs of these pieces and all of these price increases, multiple price increases a year, make it very hard for people to want to jump on the train of something that is more like in an it bag category, because if it is an it bag, it probably won't be cool 5 years from now, you know? And so if I'm spending $10,000 on something in Chanel, or, you know, $4,000 at something from Louis Vuitton, it's different. You know, back then in the early 2000s, bags were under $1,000, you know, Chanel bags were like in the $3,000 range. So our perspective or our thought was very, very different. People had more money to burn. People, you know, most of the time, people had more money to spend. They were making more, you know, their income, they had more play money. So yeah, they could take that chance. Whereas now I think people are kind of like, do I really need that? At least right this moment. We know that, you know, we know that where everything is at right now, it definitely is something that you have to think about more, right? So I think that that is another reason why it bags don't exist to that extent anymore. One more thing I think is just going kind of back to the influencer gifting situation. I don't think that we trust influencers the way that we trusted celebrities and, you know, celebrities back in like the early 2000s. So again, with that example with Jessica Simpson, you knew that, or you assumed that she loved that bag. She wore that multicolor Speedy into the ground. She also was one that was always seen with her Fendi Spy bag when it first came out. She was actually the it bag queen. The more that I think about it, she actually also would wear the Gucci horse bit like big hobo bag. She literally could fit in like these animals, I swear. She was like the it bag queen. And so we trusted that she loved these bags. She wore them over and over again. In Touch, Us Weekly, they all had pictures of her like in every edition, whatever, like every weekly magazine edition, I guess. Is that the word that you say? Yes. So she had a million pictures wearing those bags. Britney Spears, for example. I mean, I remember certain bags. Like you tell me a celebrity and I will literally remember the bag that they were wearing and like what they were known for. She had this, I forget what it was called, but it was like the silver Louis Vuitton bag that I don't think really blew up the same way as the rest of them that we're talking about. But anyway, I'll throw a picture up. But it was honest and it was true. And I think that we are in this space now where we really don't trust influencers at all. Like we all know how this system works with linking and codes and brands giving them gifts and vacations and all these things. And so we don't trust that their opinion on something is real at all, you know, and it might be, they might love the bags that they're gifted, but I think that, you know, gifting these very wealthy influencers bags, number one, is like leaves a bad taste in all of our mouths, because it's like, okay, so you want us working class people here who work hard for our money and, you know, have to, you know, whatever, all the payments, all the bills that we have to pay, kids we have to put through school, all of those things. You want us to pay full price, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for these items when you are giving these super wealthy influencers things for free, and then they're wearing them one time and then we never see it again. So I think it puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth, honestly. But I just think it's the it bags of the early 2000s were very much a organic and honest process. I don't know. Like it was like the it bags that we decided were it bags, or like everyone, or like the celebrities or whoever decided were the it bags. It just didn't feel contrived. And I think that that's the problem now, is that we really assume that everything online is a lie to a certain extent. And yeah, like, so it just doesn't have the same feeling of honesty as it used to have. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. So that being said, because we're losing it quick. You can see like the colors shifting here. I am going to tell you, let's talk about, I have 7 here. Oh my God, these animals. I hope you guys aren't hearing this like full blast, because they won't stop. Let's talk about the top 7. I thought of 7 really like iconic it bags of the past that I wanted to mention. Okay. So we have obviously the multicolor Speedy. Now, when that collection came out initially, the clear standout, like once we saw the runway or whatever, there was a lot of pieces that never made it into production from that first Murakami collaboration runway situation. When they actually made it to production and we saw what they had, I remember that obviously Jessica Simpson with her white multicolor Speedy, and Madonna had the white Alma. And those were definitely the 2 picks from that collection. It's funny now that we like small bags, and like the smaller bags are actually going for sometimes more than the larger bags. Back then, we definitely liked the large bag, and you bought the pochette or that mini HL Speedy, like if you couldn't afford the other stuff, and that was just what it was. So those were the it bags. That was what we all aspired to. It was the Speedy and the Alma, mainly the Speedy. Alma was like a close second if you liked that better, or you couldn't get your hands on the Speedy. Number 2, I would say like the Balenciaga City bag. That obviously Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, we know that they wore those to death. I think it's Mary-Kate who had like the wine stain on it and stuff. I'll obviously put some pictures. That bag was made cool hugely in part to them wearing it all the time. And I think with them, we know that that tends to be honest and true. I feel like they wear what they want and they don't care what anybody else says. So I do think that we can still trust that. But obviously now they have their own brand, and now we're talking like Birkins and Kellys, and it's a whole different level. But back then, that Balenciaga bag, everybody wanted it, and they definitely made it popular. And you knew it was an honest love of the bag, right? I would say another one would be the Paddington bag, the Chloe Paddington bag. That bag, I had it, was probably like 10 pounds with nothing in it, because that lock was like pure brass. It was so heavy. That bag doubled as a, God forbid, like you were alone in an alleyway at night. That was definitely a weapon. You could knock someone out cold with that bag. I loved that bag. That was a great bag. But that was another one that like was organically just became an it bag. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, though, who was wearing it and pictured with it. I'm going to find some pictures, though. We're going to find out. Next one I would say, and that was, I think, 2005. Obviously, the multicolor Speedy was 2003. Balenciaga, I believe, was 2001. 2002 was when it became like really hot. The Paddington, I believe, was 2005. The Stam bag, I want to say that was 2004. I believe it was maybe like very early 2005, very late 2004. That bag was the it bag of all it bags. You could not get your hands on that bag if it didn't matter. If you had $10,000 to spend on it, you couldn't get that bag. I want to say it was about $1,200, give or take. And oh my God, I was obsessed with that bag. I actually saved up the money for it and ended up going to the Marc Jacobs store and purchasing a whole nother bag, because they did not have the Stam bag and they didn't know when they were going to get it. It was like you could not get your hands on it. And I remember seeing somebody on the street with it in that like taupe color that it came in. Oh my God. I was like, I just stood behind. I didn't even we were in Duane Reade, which is like a CVS. If you don't know what Duane Reade is, it's like New York's version of a CVS. We have CVSs too, but Duane Reade is a big chain. And I literally just stood behind her in line. I didn't even want to buy anything. And I might have not even bought anything. I might have like walked off the line afterwards because I wanted to stare at that bag for as long as I could actually get to look at it. It was like so creepy, but I loved that bag so much. Oh my God. That's what I would say is the spy bag. 2005, the spy bag was a huge it bag. It came in all the different versions. The regular Zuka print one or whatever, that was like the main one. I want to say that Jessica Simpson was photographed a ton with that bag. It was just such a good bag. And again, it was one of those things where it was like a natural, people loved it because they loved it. It wasn't thrown on us like stuff down our throats to make us love it. We just ended up, everybody just loved it. It was one of those bags that we were like, oh my God, that's different. I love it. I have to have it, you know? The next one I would say is the Rocco bag. So I actually unboxed a few of them. If you saw some of my, I don't know, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, I actually unboxed like 3 of them that I purchased on the secondhand market. They're super cheap right now. So if you are thinking that my bag might come out, I would get it. Look for it now. They have a bunch. Yeah, that also can be used as a weapon. Quite honestly, that bag is probably 5 pounds just on its own with all those studs on the bottom. But that was a super like iconic it bag of like, I don't know, maybe 2009. I think something like that. Oh my God, I love that bag so much. So much. And then the last one that I have for you guys would be the Dior saddle. Obviously still iconic, but from the minute that it came out, it was obviously John Galliano era, Dior. I think it came out in 2000, maybe 99, but I remember finding it in 2000. And again, we didn't have social media to tell us what was cool, right? So I don't even think the purse forum existed at that point. So you had nowhere to go except the streets and except like In Touch, Us Weekly, obviously like Vogue and whatever, but you had your weekly magazines that came out with it, you know, every single week, and you would see the celebrities and what they wore. And so you could kind of get from that what people were going to be wearing and what was like the cool new thing. And that bag was it. Obviously, Sex and the City helped to push that one along. We definitely relied on shows and movies and things like that to tell us what was cool as well back then. But like I said, I think it was just more of an organic experience and it felt more real. Now everything feels, you know, everything in life, not just it bags, but everything feels so like curated and faked and contrived and whatever. And it's sad, I think, that the it bag doesn't exist on that level anymore, because that was really like the fun, one of like the fun things about street style and fashion back then was that, you know, things organically just became iconic, and we all liked it at the same time. It was like, how does everybody like it at the same time without Instagram telling us what to like? You know what I mean? So that's it, guys. I'm almost totally out of sunlight. So that was kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. I will say that even though obviously I'm saying that I don't think that we have it bags in the same way that we used to, I will say that I do, if any bag lately has been an it bag, in my mind at least, it is the Coach Kiss Lock bag. I think that kind of took on a life of its own. I don't think that Coach shoved it down our throats the same way. I don't see it gifted. I see normal people unboxing it. So I think that is actually one of the only ones in the past like 15 years maybe that I have seen organically become sort of like the it bag of the season. You know, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Do you think it bags still exist? Do you miss the, you know, the old days of it bags and fashion in general? Because I definitely do. I think that anybody that watches my channel on a normal basis, you know that I definitely miss. Oh my God, everything is, I don't know if you guys can hear that, it's so loud. Okay, I definitely miss the old days for sure. All right, let's do a quick unboxing. If you've waited this long, let me do the unboxing for you guys, and I'll show you what I got. So Marc Jacobs. So speaking of it bags, they have a Steven Sprouse collaboration with Marc Jacobs. I'll throw it up here. The pink one just came out in the, what is that bag called? The tote bag, I think, right? Marc Jacobs tote bag. Anyway, I have them holding one for me in the store. And I went in there to not pick it up, to see it again. And I'm still on the fence only because I think that I'd rather re-add the Louis Vuitton Steven Sprouse collaboration back into my collection, because I still think of that as very Marc Jacobs. Like, to me, that is the most Marc Jacobs bag of all of the bags that he was, I mean, and he was the creative director for a very long time, I think until 2012. When did he start? 98, maybe? I don't know. I'll put it up here if I'll look it up. But I think of that, for whatever reason, both versions of that graffiti print being the most classic Marc Jacobs Louis Vuitton bag. So I was going to get it via Marc Jacobs, but I think I'm just going to hold out and just get myself a Speedy or a Neverfull in the pink or the green, most likely. Those are the two colors that I'd rather have than orange, but we'll see what comes up in good condition. But I think I'd rather do that than purchasing just the straight up Marc Jacobs bag. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I went in to look at the bag again, and I left with something else that I think is super cool and that I'm going to hang from that bag when I get it. So it came in this. I saw it online, and then I texted the lady that I'm dealing with over there and asked her if she had it. But it is the Marc Jacobs charm. So I saw this a few times. I think that they just released it online. I saw it like in some like modeling pictures, I guess, like some campaign pictures for the tote bag or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, listen, tell me that is not iconic. So I absolutely have to hang him from a Steven Sprouse edition, like one of the collaboration bags, whether it's the 2001 graffiti version or the 2008-9 graffiti version. I don't care. But I think that to me, like I said, is the most iconic Marc Jacobs design in his whole like tenure there. Yeah. So I think I'm going to have to hang that from one of those when I actually purchase it. Until then, I don't know if he's just going to live in the bag or if I'm going to hang him from, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I have many other Louis Vuittons from that era, but I just don't think of them as classic Marc Jacobs the same way that I think about this. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the same way that I think about the Steven Sprouse collection. So we'll see. But I just thought that was super cute. It's still available if anybody out there wants it. I'll show you in the next video, but I actually got myself a little Carlito. So I never got the Fendi Karl Lagerfeld like fur charm or whatever. I might add one at some point soon because I wanted to hang it off of my Chanel backpack. But on Amazon, I did find a little Karl, like little stuffed charm, kind of on the same idea. It's just not fur. But I have him hanging off of one of my very Karl designed bags that I have, my Chanel bags. So I'm kind of just thinking about this charm in the same way, where he has to go on one of his classic Marc Jacobs Louis Vuitton bags. So anyway, that's it for me today. Obviously, I went a little longer than I should, but I'm surprised that we still have a little bit of light. So we did good. We did good. And sorry that I went so fast. I was probably talking like a mile a minute. Next one will be a little more relaxed. Like I said, I just didn't want to run out of light and I didn't want to miss an upload tomorrow. So that being said, guys, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. If you have not already subscribed, again, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button, become a member of my growing YouTube family. It is free for you, completely priceless for me. So I'm going to throw out my Instagram handle one more time. Come follow me over there. And last but not least, I will leave a video probably over here just in case you haven't seen it and if you are interested in continuing to watch me. All right, guys. Thank you, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.